Welcome back, this is Goku-san DBZ. And first, before I get on to this video, price charting 10 at randomly chosen PS2 fighting games. So with that said, also yes, in the background you may see a recently new added statue of Uncle Jay, which I already did an unboxing video about. Recently picked up this awesome statue, obviously after the classic Mark Hamill Joker for Batman the Animated Series. But with that said, let's get to it. Music I chose today, since we are talking about fine games, I figure a fine game soundtrack. Music today in the background is from Soul Calibur 3. So with that said, no honorable mention since this is not a top 10, just looking and price charting, trying to predict at the rate how it will go, and looking at what the price was going for on price charting February of 2011, or 2021, and then February of this year, 2022. So with that said, and also look at the price new. Now keep in mind this is complete in box, of course. So first up, we are looking at Tekken 5, which arguably is not a super expensive game, and the thing is, the majority of these games are still very much relatively affordable and a pretty good price range, so I recommend pretty much collecting these games right now, most of them, but you'll see what I'm talking about. First up with Tekken 5, as of February of last year, it was trending on average for about $15.50. This year, last month, it was trending for around, on average, $17, so it went up $1.50 from last year. I think right now it's going to stay relatively steady, at least for now moving forward. It might go up a little, but I don't think it's going to go up major, because this game has stayed relatively steady and affordable, and I think that's because of how many copies of the game, plus the fact you also have Dark Resurrection on the PSP, and you have Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection Digital available on the PS3 for now, PSN store. So I think because of those contributing factors, Tekken 5 will be staying very affordable for the at least up next few years. I don't see any major changes in the pricing. Next up, looking at Virtual Fighter 4, but specifically the Evo or Evolution edition, which is the ultimate version. Of course, this was released, like Tekken 5, exclusively to the PS2. Now, it, I believe, is available, I believe, on PS Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe. I need to double check, but last time I checked, you can't get digitally on the PS3 PSN store, however. And outside of PS2, for now, it's pretty much exclusively remains. But it's not super high in demand. Really, none of the Virtual Fighter games are very expensive. Even like Virtual Fighter Remix or Virtual Fighter 2 on the Saturn are some of the more affordable games. But with that said, last year at this time, Virtual Fighter 4 Evolution was going for about $7. Now this year actually has gone up. This year it was around $10.40 last month. So it's gone up over $3. Why do I think it went up a few dollars from last year? Simple. Because of the release, or rather, the digital remastered version for Virtual Fighter 5. I think it's the biggest contributing factor as to why it went up a little over $3 from last year. Though even with it going up, it's still just over $10, so still very affordable. Still arguably one of the cheapest games to collect for the PS2. And I do highly recommend, as a longtime fan of Virtual Fighter going back to the mid-90s, as well as also being a big, longtime fan of 3D fighting games in general, going back to, well, the 90s as well. This series I have always personally really liked, and I feel it's often overshadowed, unfortunately, by, of course, the more successful stepbrother, Tekken. Though in the beginning Tekken was not complete full 3D in the beginning, wouldn't be really until more towards Tekken Tag to Tekken 4, really. But overall, where do I see it moving forward? Also, um, I think it's going to go up a little, not major, but I don't think it's going to stay even or go down. I think it will possibly go up another dollar or two, but not much. I don't see it going up a lot. I think it's going to stay relatively same, maybe gradually go up a little here and there. But now, if you're wanting brand new copies, by the way, quickly, Tekken 5, you could find new on average around $56, and Virtual Fighter 4 Evolution you can find new for $24. So, if you want a copy and you want to get a brand new hit, just over 20 bucks, you can get yourself a brand new copy. At least that's the trending price and price charting. It's probably more like $30 or so on actual eBay. Now, with that said, next up we are looking at, of course, the game that I chose music for today, which is arguably, of course, to this day remains exclusively PS2 only. Which is kind of surprising. Now, this is a game I would love to see get an HD remaster treatment, just like Soul Calibur 2 got, and that is Soul Calibur 3, which is arguably my second favorite of the Soul series, second only to Soul Calibur 1 on, of course, the Dreamcast. But with that said, Soul Calibur 3, as of February last year, was trending for about $10. Very affordable. As of this year, February, it is on average one for about $15. So it's all a 50% spike in price. Why do I think a contributing factor why it went up $5? Honestly, I think it's because more people maybe are finally starting to realize that Soul Calibur 3 is actually a very solid game, and arguably when it comes to single player content, it is the most rich game in the franchise as a whole. When it comes to the single player modes and overall content, that's one of the reasons I love the game. There's many hours worth playing, and the fact also challenge to the game of if you actually want to crazy enough challenge yourself and fight Night Terror, be my guest. Just watch Maximilian Dude's boss rage of it. It's pretty funny, but speaking of someone who has faced Night Terror multiple times, yeah, he makes Inferno look like nothing in comparison. But great game nevertheless, and I liked Abyss as a boss. But new, you can actually find this right now on average, maybe about $36 according to these statistics. And yeah, I think it may stay even or go up a bit. I don't think it's going down, but I do think it's going to tend to stay more steady right now moving forward. Next up, we are looking at Bloody Roar 3, which is arguably one of the most expensive fighting games on the PS2, obviously, because it was one of the much lower sellers, though it was about the best-selling game in the franchise in overall sales numbers. Mostly because I think partially Activision helped actually distribute Bloody Roar 3. But as of last year, it was trending for about $40.50, and February this year, trending for $40 even, so it went down 50 cents. So moving forward right now, I think Bloody Roar 3 is going to stay very steady, unlike its younger brother, which I'll be talking about shortly. But yeah, Bloody Roar 3, I think for now is going to stay relatively steady. If you're interested in Bloody Roar 3, I recommend getting it right now while it's hovering around the 40 range before it eventually starts really spiking up, which I think could happen because of the more rarity and the fact you can't really find digital copies of Bloody Roar 3 or 4. Only Bloody Roar 1 and 2 you can find on the PSN store, weirdly enough, which I think has helped keep those games' prices a bit lower than these games. But if you're wanting new, Bloody Roar 3, you're looking at about $132. So yeah, definitely more. Next up, we're looking at, in my opinion, one of the more underrated games in the KOF series. Arguably, though, has one of the most annoying bosses of any SNK game or any 2D fighting game in general for me personally. The pain of facing. But that is next up looking at King of Fighters 11. As of February last year, it was hovering around 11.50. This year, it's hovering around just a little over $17. Simple explanation as to why it saw about close to a $6 jump. That's simple because King of Fighters 15 came out this year. So it maybe got more people interested in KOF 11. Plus the fact you had Maximilian doing recently a basically legacy replaying a bunch of the KOF games. And between him and I think a few other YouTubers doing content involving KOF, I think that's one of the reasons KOF 11 went up a little, mostly because it brought new eyes to the game and introducing them to it. I think that's probably the biggest reason. And it makes sense. And I think moving forward right now, it's going to stay relatively level. It could possibly go back down a little, but I think it's going to stay relatively steady at the moment, and it's still under $20, so it's still very affordable. New, it's just barely that much more. It's like around $22 right now. Next up, looking at, I think, one of the most criminally underrated Street Fighter games of all time, Street Fighter EX3, which is a superb game and has some of the most rich combat mechanics and gameplay of any game in the Street Fighter franchise. And that, as of last year in February, it was going for around $15.80. And this year, January, it's hovering around just shy of $23. So it did see a few dollar jump, needless to say. I think the recent tiny spike is because there are, once again, some fears possibly that this game could disappear off the PS3, PSN store, and things like that. And that is understandable, and I think maybe more people have been introduced to this game over a more recent time. And I'm fine with that. Again, that introduce other people to the EX series, which I think deserves a lot more love and focus than it gets, unfortunately. And as I said before, it's one of my personal favorite Street Fighter series. The Alpha will always be my favorite, but overall price, it's still very affordable. New, however, it's a bit pricier, around like $161. Now, I think moving forward, I think this game is going to go up a little bit slowly. I don't think it's going to jack up in price, but I do think it's going to see a gradual continued climb in value moving forward, and that's the way it's been for many Capcom fighting games, especially Street Fighter games, if you look at the past. I think that says a lot at that. I don't think it's going to jack up like Street Fighter EX2 did, which is insane how much it's going for now. I think this will stay definitely more relatively steady, though I think as more people learn about this game, I could see it becoming more sought after, possibly. Next up, looking at another game I don't think is going to see huge increase in price, but I think it's going to go up a little. That is, of course, my personal favorite Mortal Kombat game up until MKX, Mortal Kombat Deception. And it was last year around $12.70 last February. This year, February, it was trending for around on average $15. So it's a jump of just about $2. Not much. I think moving forward, it's actually gonna, I think, go up a little steadily like Street Fighter EX3. I see this going up, though it's a little more common, which is why I think it may stay a little bit cheaper than like Street Fighter EX3. But I do think this game is superb and still great. But one thing it has at least going for it is the fact it's on many platforms, which keeps the price more reasonable. Because it's on, GameCube, though arguably, yeah, it's the expensive version. You have it on PS2, you have it on Xbox, you have it also on PSP. I mean, with the multiple different platforms, I think will help keep the price reasonable. Plus, this era of Mortal Kombat is less popular overall. I mean, you see that in the prices with also Daily Alliance and Armageddon as well. But if you're curious, a new copy of Deception will set you back $76. Next up, third to last, is an all-time classic, and it would start the beloved Budokai series. Looking at Dragon Ball Z Budokai, the original, which was actually 3D before the cell shaded switchover you would see, but I loved the story and the what if scenarios and the story mode and stuff with it. And I loved the team, or rather tournament mode and everything. I just in generally still occasionally will play Budokai to this day. I love it. It is, I think, still maybe my personal favorite Dragon Ball Z fighting game. Probably Fighters would be in second, but nostalgia factor. But Budokai, February of last year, or I'm sorry, no, this is Budokai 3, my bad. Didn't look. But February of last year, it was trending for about $22, and this year it's trending for $27. So it's gone up $5. I think it's because it's one of the more high in demand, definitely Dragon Ball fighting games. In general, the Budokai series is pretty well beloved. Budokai 1, 2, and 3, all three of them. I would say most people tend to prefer Budokai 3, as Budokai 1 is my personal favorite. But with that said, I think it will definitely continue going up moving forward. I definitely think it will. I don't think it will jack up super, but it went up $5 since last year. But I definitely think because of Dragon Ball fans and nostalgia factor is going to play a key role in why I think it's going to continue going up slowly. Plus the fact you have the HD collection for PS3, which includes Budokai 1 and 3. But not too surprisingly. But with that said, new copy will set you back about 126. Second to last is a game I think deserves a little more love than it gets, but this is actually not one specific game. This is a compilation of 3 classic fighting games, and that is Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 2, which is a series of 3 classic or last few Fatal Frame games like Real Bout 2, and these 3 games are superb. Speaking of somebody who personal favorite SNK fighting series is Fatal Fury series. As of February last year, this was going for $16. This year, it's going for about $20, $4 increase. And I think, once again, contributing factor with the new KOF game, and the fact that these games actually got a special HD physical re-release through Limited Run Games, but it is available digitally on basically all current platforms. So I don't think this game is going to go up, and I think the PS4 Limited Run version is more sought after than the original PS2 version. So you might want to take advantage of that right now while the prices are reasonable. New, you can actually find this game for about $27, so I would say take advantage, get the PS2 version while the prices are good, while people are more focused on the limited run version. Last but not least, as I said earlier about Bloody Roar 3, wait for the younger brother, here it is, Bloody Roar 4, which would be the last Bloody Roar game unfortunately released, and released around 2004 for the PlayStation 2, of course, obviously, and it would be a much more divisive game in the franchise, definitely because of some specific characters in it. I wasn't a big fan of Ryoho the Dragon personally, and the voice acting was horrendous, even as someone who is used to bad voice acting. Given this was the mid-2000s, I kind of expected better quality, at least English voice actors, but whatever. With that said, the game is, I think, good overall, at least in mechanics, but I don't like how they changed the whole Beast Drive element and stuff in the game, and I'm hit and miss with the newer characters in the game. There are a few, like one specific character that turns into like a raven. I don't mind him, though he's kind of a douchebag character, but gameplay-wise, he's probably the most fun out of the newer characters at the time. But I did appreciate at least they brought Uranus the Chimera back, as well as many others. Basically, it's got about every character up till then, for the most part. With that said, yeah, this, of course, no surprise, there's not been our game, given by this time Konami owned the rights, unfortunately. January of last year, this game was trending for $58, which it arguably made it already in like the top three, probably most expensive fine games on the PS2. But it's a humongous spike since last year. According to last month on price charting, prices went from $58 to $94. That is the biggest single like year spike I've seen for a PS2 fighting game. I mean, which now puts, I believe, Bloody Roar 3, at least of English dub versions, positions it now currently like the second most expensive fighting game at the moment for PS2, which blows my mind in all honesty. I don't know why. I think it's because the rarity, because it's sold like less than 30,000 copies, like 20,000 or so. So it's a relatively rare game out there. Good luck finding in the wild, definitely. And there's a lot of hardcore Bloody Roar fans out there that are willing to go out of their way to get the complete series. But with that said, and yes, I definitely see, I think this is going to stay relatively steady now, or it might see another spike. I'm really not sure. This is more a question mark. I'm not really sure how to predict Bloody Roar 4, honestly. And a new copy will set you back about $178. So, yeah, pretty expensive. But with that said, that's it for a new edition of Game Charting. But with that said, leave a comment. What are your thoughts? I mean, overall, obviously, most of these games are still very affordable outside of maybe the Bloody Roar games. Most of the rest are still quite affordable games under $30, no problem. But with that said, any surprises here? What are your thoughts? What were some of your personal favorite PS2 fighting games? But with that said, give me an idea for a future one of these price charting a specific console or genre, or specific genre on a specific console. But with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same time, same channel. Stay safe out there. Thumbs up, like, subscribe. And to everyone out there in Eastern Europe and Ukraine, our prayers are with you. You definitely in our thoughts. You have friends here in America. I just wish the government would do something more. But I get it. But I also, our prayers go out to many people in Russia that are dealing with this stuff and unfortunately going out and speaking their mind stuff and they're being arrested for voicing their opinion on things. And honestly, I'm not sure right now what's going to happen next, but to anybody in any faith or any region of the world, keep Eastern Europe, especially Ukrainians and the Russian people, in your thoughts. But with that said, try getting in contact if you want to do something like get in contact with like Red Cross or another organization. See what you can do to try to help. But I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe.